welcome back again for the fourth time. You have been with us all night long. The polls are closed here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I hope you had an opportunity to go out and cast your vote, be it voting or voting today, this afternoon, or this evening. I am Monica Jean Pierre. I am the Assistant Director of United Excel, our wonderful social justice ministry out of United Christian Faith Ministries. We are so excited to have you. We've been hashtagging See You Tuesday for the last 8 weeks, and we are so very excited that you've joined us. So I have with us again Dr. Samuels from Southern University. He is the chair for the political science department at Southern University. We have our very own director of United Excel, Dr. Christy Perry.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah.
And then we brought back Miss Kelsey Perrine. Is it Perrine or Perrin?
It's Perrine.
They had so many great things to say earlier. Dr. Perry was out on she was had her feet on the ground. We heard some great things that the lines were low or non-existent. So that means that you were out there doing your civic duty, making your voice heard. I'm going to get out the way for a moment. So Dr. Perry, it's all on you. Hi.
All right. Look, this is an exciting night. We have so much going on. I see Kelsey over there. She has her little watch party going on. Look, these first-time voters, not for her, I think. Is it your first time, Kelsey, voting?
This is all our first time voting in the presidential election.
This is awesome. We loving the energy that you young people are bringing to this particular campaign. What kind of food are y'all eating, Kelsey?
Typical party food. We got some spinach dip, rotel, sandwiches, meatballs, all that. Chicken wings.
Good. Okay, good. They could party about a lot of things, but they are having a watch party tonight. And look, it's exciting too to have Dr. Samuels. Did you know that we would have one of your students on tonight that would be on the same panel? And I think that in itself deserves an A. What do you think, Kelsey?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
So this is exciting. So Kelsey is
Might get bonus points.
Hey, Kelsey, I'm looking
Anthony
out.
is in here too, so make sure he gets some bonus points as well.
There he is, Anthony.
He is back.
Chrissy been muted.
Oh, Christy, can you repeat what you said?
Oh, yeah, we started with Dr. Samuels. He's back, and he's going to kind of tell us where we are in the election. Dr. Samuels, I was looking, and the last I checked, it looked like Biden had 131 of the electoral votes, and Donald Trump was at 92. And, of course, we know we need to get to 270s. But what I was really concerned about are those Senate seats that we're looking at too as well, Dr. Samuel. So can you talk a little bit about where we are on those in that Senate race?
Well, first of all, the Democrats, keep in mind, the Democrats need to get a net 4 Senate seats in order to gain control of the chamber. So they still got a lot of races that are outstanding. There's a pickup in Colorado that was expected, with Cory Gardner. He's going to go down in flames, but it's still early in the night. We have races to watch in North Carolina, which is going to be a nail biter. Tom Tillis is a Republican incumbent. A lot of what's happened, a lot of the big dynamic here is that there are a lot of people who voted early. That vote is heavily Democratic, but the same day vote is heavily Republican. And so the question is, can the Republican candidates make up the gap with the same day vote as we have with the early vote? That appears to be happening in Florida, where it looks like Donald Trump is going to hang on to Florida because of the same day vote, and then particularly because he has the Cuban Americans down in South Florida or are turning out heavily for Donald Trump. So he's probably going to hang on to Florida. But we're watching North Carolina. We're going to be watching Maine. We're watching Maine. South Carolina is still it's still interesting. You know, Jamie Harrison is trailing in the race. That's a very red state. There's still some vote out there in Charleston and some other places, so there's still a possibility that's still a reach. Uh, you also got to keep in mind that we say with Democrats need a net 4. Our Alabama is where the Democrats have the most vulnerable Democrat in Doug Jones, who won a special election in 2017, and he's running against former football coach Tommy Tuberville. So that's a seat that Democrats are anticipating losing that seat. Though I still wouldn't count Doug Jones out. He's been a pretty formidable campaigner in a state that is really a very red state. Red state. We may have to watch also Michigan, actually, really, because Gary Peters is facing a formidable challenge from actually a black Republican candidate for Michigan. So that's a race a lot of people have been paying attention to. But again, if you're gonna get to a majority, you have to have a net 4. So you got to hold your seats and then take some of theirs. So there's still several races. There's still several races out there where Democrats have some real pickup opportunities. We're gonna be looking at Iowa, where Joni Ernst is in a fight for her life. We're looking at Iowa. South Dakota, Democratic pickup. Steve Bullock is a Democratic candidate who was a former governor of South Dakota. That's a really close race as well. Kansas is in play. So there's still some other pathways that Democrats have in order to get to that majority.
Okay, so that's good. I was looking at some of the winning states when we're looking at looking just at the states, looking at the presidential election back here. That's kind of what we've been doing all night, a watch party as well. And I see Georgia, the Atlanta area, looks like it's going to be really, really up for grabs tonight as it relates to that particular state. Louisiana, for the most part, of course, has been called, and we know our state is Trump. But what's really important for Louisiana is we want to look at our mayor election. Our polls are closed, so we are waiting to hear the results. They have not come in yet, but of course, a lot of us are predicting that there may be, well, we're hoping for a mayor win, but we're predicting that there may be a runoff with the mayoral election. But of course, the Senate seat, it looks as if in the small percentage that have voted, Cassidy is leading Perkins in that particular seat from what we've been seeing. So just looking at this, have you all seen anything different since we've been on? Biden 131 electoral was the last I saw, and Trump 92 is what we have thus far.
Well, let's say
98.
Okay, let's shift to the statewide results. Obviously, we know Donald Trump is going to carry state Louisiana.
Absolutely.
No real surprises at the congressional level. All the incumbents at the in state representative going to cruise the re-election. Looks like Bill Cassidy is going to win without the need to go into a runoff. He's right down about 62% of the vote. So that's actually going as expected. In thus far, with in the mayor's race, we got about, I'm looking at this right now, the Secretary of State's website. We got 57 out of 329 precincts are reporting that roughly about 20%, give or take. Mayor Broome has 41% of the vote. Steve Carter has 22. Matthew Watson is at 15, and Jordan Piazza is 11. and the rest and the other counties are in single digits. And so if that trend holds, it looks like this is sort of expected. We're looking like a runoff between the incumbent mayor, Sharon Weston Broome, and Steve Carter. That's and it's going to take, and I don't see a whole lot like the some of the councilman races are just starting with like in Scott, District 1 and 2, I don't really see any numbers there.
Right.
In District 5, District 5 looks like Erica Green is going to be reelected. Right now, she's leading with 60% of the vote. It's still early with four only a small percent, but she's ahead by a significant margin. That's trending in a very good direction. With 10 out of about close to half of the vote is in District 6. Right now, Cleve Dunn is leading right now with 34% of the vote.
That's my district.
I'm sorry, 24%. About 24% of the vote. He's actually up by about looks like about a little bit more than like 20 votes over Don Collins. Susan Kaufman has 21% of the vote, and so we got that's going to be an interesting race down. So that looks like there's going to be a runoff in District 6.
Okay. Okay. Look, I was just looking. We have someone, Justice Theory. He sent in a message. He said that he was very excited about voting. Felt like for the first time he had the opportunity. No, he felt like the first time he was making a change. This was the first time my voice was actually heard. That's from Justice Theory. He turned 18 a couple of weeks ago. What you think about that, Kelsey? As a house full of first-time voters, what do you think about that?
I think that's super exciting. I hope y'all can hear me. I hope that's super exciting. But I know, like, for me, it was a very exciting experience. I went with some of my closest friends. We did not wait in line very long, but I walked in and I had my mask on, and the poll worker could tell that I was cheesing from cheek to cheek. And she was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm just super excited." And so to be able to have that experience and share that experience with my friends and fellow first-time voters was just an amazing thing to do. And that's just how it's been across the country, is that we're all been sharing our experiences. And I believe that just that alone shows the power in voting and shows the power of the youth.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kelsey. And we've heard from a lot of people. I thought the last session from our women was just absolutely phenomenal. And the session before that with our college students, we're hearing the voices and people telling their story of the importance of this particular election. And we're going to continue to follow this election tonight. For the votes that we have. Do we have any updates, Dr. Samuels, since we've been on? Everything is pretty much running the same. Anything on those swing states that we're looking at?
Yeah, I think we're again. What we want to keep in mind right now is so far. So far the 2016 pattern holds in terms of the Democrats have won the states. Have won so far. Have won states. They won 2016. Republicans in one state, they also won those states. Now, what's up for grabs is North Carolina, which is a state that Biden has a slight lead in. Has been cutting into that lead with same-day votes. That would be a significant flip if we can attain that. But still, the Biden campaign, they invested a lot of time in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, and so if they hold those three states, it's game over. Everything else is landing out. If they have flipped those states, and so that was their strategy. Now, if they're able to pick up Ohio in the process, or if they're able to pick up North Carolina, or if the vote from Georgia from the Atlanta metropolitan area comes in at the level that they need, that they pull supply in Georgia, that's landing out. But
Right.
keep in mind, so it's still Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Michigan. Those three states were states that going into this election, going into the election, Donald Trump was trailing in all three states, all three of these battleground states. He had the biggest deficits in these three states than he had in the other states among some of the polling leading up to the election. And so, if he loses those three states, unless he is unless he's able to take from Democrats a state that they carry in 2016. If that changes, he loses the presidency, no matter what. No matter what else, no matter what else happens anywhere else.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question, Dr. Samuels, in reference to the numbers that we're seeing. For those that may not truly understand, because we have numbers that are coming from everywhere. We have our numbers of the same day voting. We have the numbers for early voting, and then we also have to factor in the mail-in ballots as well. So when can we expect to see a complete count of all those votes?
Well, it may take several days. It's going to vary depending on the state. Like some states will get those numbers out faster than others. Like a state like Pennsylvania, for example, the rules in those states say that they can't start processing absentee and mail-in votes until after the polls close. The rules are different in Florida. Florida, they can process those votes as they come in.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Florida is able to turn around the numbers faster than, say, Pennsylvania is, because the rules vary by state. I will say this, just so you know, this is an unusual election in many ways because we have significantly more early voting than you normally have. That's a functioning part of because of the COVID pandemic. But we've actually never had an election in which all of the votes were counted on election night. That doesn't mean that obviously we've had elections in which we knew who the winner was before election night, but we've never had an election in American history where all of the votes were counted in one night. So
Absolutely.
we gotta keep that in perspective. And keep in mind, you still got states in the Pacific time zone, that still the polls haven't closed yet.
Mm-hmm. Right. And speaking of pandemic, when we're thinking about this election, that is some of the reasons. A lot of people are in fact going to the polls. Reasons like the pandemic, reasons about reasons as it relates to racism in America, reasons the economy and things like that. All of these are concerns that people have, and the reason they are casting their votes. And so, but regardless who wins, Dr. Samuel, regardless of who wins tonight, what must we do tomorrow? What must we do tomorrow? That is the question of the day.
Mm-hmm. Well, regardless of how this election ends, our power is not dependent upon the outcome of the election or our sense of who we are. Obviously, depending on the outcome, some of us are going to feel better about the result than others. Than others. Even if your candidate wins, it doesn't stop there. Now that becomes the time to then hold the candidates accountable for the things that they promise, things that you want to see, things that you want to see happening. If our candidate doesn't win, if your candidate doesn't win, buckle up, because things because stuff's going to start happening.
Right.
That would be the worst thing you can do if your candidate doesn't win, and especially in this particular context, would be just to give up.
Right.
Because stuff is coming.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff is going to happen if you do that. So at the end of the day, we're still citizens, and democracy is not a spectator sport.
Right. Y'all must participate. Absolutely. Absolutely. I like that, Dr. Samuels. I'm gonna start using that. So, and accountability, that's so important. And I hope, Dr. Samuels, you will join us throughout the 2021 year as we hold segments on holding our elected officials accountable. That's one of the things that we have, where we have individuals, we allow them to present their platforms, and they're able to answer questions and tell everyone about, what they are going to do. But I think accountability is so important. We must hold them accountable. And so that's what we're going to do. Well, we're going to continue to watch. Monica, do we have any questions from the audience? You're on mute.
See any, but I would like to ask Kelsey. She had some visitors that were hanging out behind her. If they had some things, I would like to ask them a question or two. So invite them back on. So I want to see what they have to say. Tell them no is not an option.
With all that waving they doing.
So welcome back, my friend. Welcome back. So I hear that you are a first-time voter. Is that right?
Is that dumb boy?
Hold on 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There you go.
Okay, so I hear you are a first-time voter. Is that correct?
No, this is my second time voting in presidential.
Okay. So tell me about your experience during this particular season.
Going vote.
Yeah.
It was pretty smooth. I went to City Hall the second week of early voting week, when went right in, right out 5 minutes. Went around like 6 o'clock. So it was pretty.
Good.
I was satisfied. I thought everything was done pretty smooth and effective. The way they had to set up, with all the COVID restrictions, was still smooth as well. So I was very, very pleased. Being that it was at City Hall, so that's really why I went. So.
So did you do your part in advocating, voting to your friends and getting?
I did. And the work doesn't stop. I did. So yes, ma'am. I surely did.
That's just marvelous. What's your name?
Dunbar.
Mr. Dunbar. It was really nice talking to you. Thank you
nice
for joining
us. To you as well. Yes, ma'am.
I know Mr. Dunbar very well. Kelsey was also a student in my intro class. She was an A student, but I'm sure you all know that anyway, just by her talking here. But I worked with Kelsey last year on getting people to the polls to vote. So she was it last year? Last year. She has remained passionate about this since I have known her. Yeah. Any more, Monica?
Yes, I know you're ready to go. You're ready to call it a night. It's a long night. It's a long 2 weeks. We can officially close out See You Tuesday. So what I want everybody to do is, if you go to your social media pages, you want to talk about tonight's event, make sure you give us a hashtag See You Tuesday. I can post up some pictures of your watch party and whatever you got going on. But we are so glad that you were a part of this segment. The series was amazing.
Yes.
And tonight was one for the books. I have nothing else, Dr. Perry and Dr. Samuels. Miss Perrine, thank you so much. Y'all have a wonderful night, okay?
Bye-bye. Thanks, Dr. Samuels.
Okay, good night.
Thanks, Kelsey.